Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're gonna do the game week 11 deadline stream. So it's a little bit early. There is still quite a bit of time before the deadline. It is only 11:30 here where I am, so there's about two more hours to the deadline, but I can't stream that long for today, so we're gonna do the stream a little bit earlier. And I'm actually interested to see how many flags you guys have, because I mean, as we all know, there's so many injuries based on the latest press conferences as well, right? So I'm actually interested to see. I'll put a poll in the chat, right? You guys can vote how many flags are you guys on, because that would kind of dictate how many transfers you would have to make. Right. I would say I'm not even sure if I should put 0 as an option. Alright, more. Alright, let me know how many flags you guys have. I think a lot of us are on maybe 4, 5. I currently have 3. Right, Zuma, Mitrovic, and Reece James. Right, Reece James obviously the most the biggest news, because Graham Potter has said, right, that he's probably going to need to see a specialist. We'll look at the exact quote later on, right? But as of now, it seems like Reece James is most definitely going to miss game week 11, right? So that's probably going to play into what I have to do this game week as well, right? I'm thinking of taking Reece James out. But there are a couple of ways we can go about this. I'll discuss a little bit about my thought process is looking for a replacement for Reece James, right? Because we're gonna need this replacement to either be really cheap so that we can afford City and Arsenal players in game week 13 when they come back, or another thing that we can do is to really attack game week 11 and game week 12, right, and go for expensive players like maybe Perisic, right? That's really attacking the first 2 game weeks. But I think I see myself leaning more towards going for a cheaper defender as a replacement for Reece James. I'm thinking of either Max Kilman or Lewis Dunk, right? Either one of them. So I will have to decide on stream. I'll probably make the transfer like right now after we kind of have a little bit of a discussion on what the best moves are, right? So for now this is the team, right? And I think we'll take a look at the comments from the pressers first. Right, say hi to some of you guys in the chat. Nice to see you guys in the chat. AJ, Jeff says he's struggling. Jeff, I have a Twitter, right? So you can send me your team on Twitter. That's fine as well, right? I probably set up a Discord maybe later on in the year, right? I'm thinking of starting a Discord. Let me know if you guys actually want it, right? I can set up a Discord. AJ says 2, but I transferred James out for Dunk. Don't know if that was a good move. I'm actually thinking of doing that same move. I'm actually thinking of doing James to Dunk, right? I much prefer Dunk over Max Kilman. I go into that later on, right? But it's mostly got to do with the long-term appeal of Lewis Dunk, right? Because if I just very, very quickly look at Wolves fixtures, right, they have Forest in game week 11. I think that's obviously they are pretty high up the clean sheet odds for this game week. We'll take a look later, right? So I don't dislike like the option of going for Max Kilman, right? But the problem is come game week 12, it's Palace away. I don't think that's an easy fixture. 13 as well, Leicester at home, maybe 50-50 there, right? But thereafter, I don't think they have easy games at all, right? Brentford away, Brighton at home, Arsenal at home. I don't think these are, where I see clean sheets are happening for Max Kilman. So he's a really, really short-term pick, which is what I don't like, right? As opposed to Lewis Dunk, or even Webster. I think Webster is a decent shout as well. His numbers are really good. Yeah, but so even though they have Brentford away in game week 11, um, they played Forest in game week 12. That's the best fixture, right? One of the best fixtures for that we have in game week 12, right? The blank game week 12. And then after that, they play City and Chelsea. Yeah, definitely tough fixtures there. I probably would bench him. But then after they have Wolves away and Aston Villa at home. So I think these are playable fixtures actually for Lewis Dunk. So that's pretty much why I'm leaning more towards Lewis Dunk as opposed to like Max Kilman. It's probably more a short term pick, which is not what I really it's not what I really like, especially because I have some other players in the team that I would want to rotate around. I already intend to rotate Gehi and Zuma, right? The West Ham and Crystal Palace fixtures rotate really well. So thinking about Dunk, like really rethinking about it. Kath then says James to Chalobah or SP. I honestly would not. I don't really like going back to another Chelsea defender. And that's solely because I don't think any of them have as much attacking threat as James, which was one of the reasons why we kept him. And after game week 12, right? Yes, they have Villa away in game week 11. After this game, in game week 12 they have Brentford away, United at home in game week 13, and Brighton away, Arsenal at home, Newcastle away. These are all fixtures I don't think it's going to be really easy for Chelsea to keep a clean sheet. So that's pretty much why I think Kilman, um, Lewis Dunk, Webster, there's also Perisic if you really want to attack the next 2 game weeks. And there's also Eric Dyer if you want to go for a nailed player. I saw some people considering Doherty. I'm not really sure about his minutes. He just came back into the starting 11 in game week 10. So I'm not really sure moving forward how big of an option he is going to be. So yeah, I mean I much prefer Dyer and or Perisic if we're going for Tottenham attackers. Right, hi Zachary. AG Twin Gamer says Pope or Pickford. Um I don't really like but I don't really like having Pope at this point in time, but he is in my team, right? And he's I have him on the bench for this game week because I intend to start Trippier. I've seen a lot of teams going with both Nick Pope and Trippier in their starting 11, but the thing is I really do see United scoring here. So I wouldn't want to double up on on Newcastle. So yeah, I think I'm more likely to bench Pope for this game week, but I think next week's pretty good. Right? Everton at home. If you're talking about Pope or Pickford at this for at this point in time, game week 11, they do have a decent run up till game week 16. Um, he does pick up a number of save points as well, but uh, the thing about Everton's defense is they have been conceding one of the fewest goals in the Premier League, but they still do leak those goals, right? They still leak a couple of goals here and there. So I'm not 100% convinced, but at 4.5 I don't think we can complain too much, especially with 13 to 16. I do like that run. So I actually do prefer Pickford over Pope at this point in time. Alright, AJ says Neco Williams, Cancelo, Dunk, Trippier, Gehi, start 3 of them. Definitely not Neco Williams. I'll definitely start Cancelo. I'll start Trippier, and I'll start Dunk. So that's the 3 of them. Need to replace James, got Dunk, and I will wildcard in 13. Need good options to attack game week 11 and 12. Well, if you are attacking 11 game week 11 and 12, sorry. If you are attacking these 2 game weeks, then actually Perisic is a really decent shout. He's a really decent shout. He got rested in the Champions League. He also got rested in the last game. So in the last Premier League game. So I think Perisic is probably the one I would really consider if I still have my wildcard in game week 13, of course. Please discuss why not Chalobah or Azpilicueta. I just said I think I'm not 100% convinced that Chelsea keep a good number of clean sheets in the coming games. So yeah, just not convinced. Alright, Jeff, I'll take a look at team later. We'll switch over to Twitter later, right? Zachary says, could you rank Bowen, Mount, Trossard? Trossard at this point in time, number one, because he has the best fixture. He's actually a captaincy shout. He's actually a captaincy shout in game week 12. So I would go for Trossard as the preferred pick for this game week, right? If I'm transferring any one of these three in. What about Anderson or Gehi? Gehi is just a little bit cheaper, so I've gone for Gehi, but I think Anderson at this point in time, if I'm to choose one to go for in this game week, I'd probably pick Anderson. Brendan Matthews says, Sessegnon, good defender. He played 2 games back to back. I don't think, and Perisic has been rested. I don't think he plays this coming game week. I think for game week 11, I foresee, right, that it would be Doherty and Perisic starting. So Sessegnon maybe not a good option, right? That's just my thoughts. Even if he concedes, likely to get more saves than Ward. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair as well. So, which is one of the reasons why he was in my starting 11 before today. I just swapped him out for Ward, but I really just do see Newcastle getting a good amount of possession as well. So I won't say definitely the save points are there, right? But in the off chance that Leicester can keep a clean sheet, I know this is way out of there, but I am more likely to start Ward, I feel, still at this point in time. Just doesn't bode well that I'm going to start two Newcastle defenders against Manchester United away. Yeah. Thoughts on Doherty? Yeah, I do think he's a decent option. Right, Jeff, I'll check Twitter in a little bit. Zachary says KDB and Mitchell to Trossard and Kane. Hold both, bench Mitchell. I think hold both. I'd hold both of them. Right, I think City will still get some goals, and KDB has been known to do really well against Liverpool. So I keep KDB. Mitrovic seems like he's back in training as well. Could be back for game week 12. So still a hold. Right, Redbox has 0 flags. You are incredible, my friend. Everyone has flags, so it's a really, really good position to be in, right? Especially since you can make you are in a position to make luxury transfers actually. Is it fine to take a -4 in game week 12? Have to take off James. I think a lot of people will be taking hits, a lot of them. So not to worry at all. Even fielding 7 to 8 players, for game week 12, right, which is the blank game week. I think that's fine. Right, we do have to consider the upside as well. Right, from game week 13 to 16 onwards, I'll tinker around a little bit, but you guys can see my thought process as to why I'm going for Dunk, so that I can afford these fixture swings for Saka and Foden, who are players that I will want moving forward as well. Doherty or Trippier? Chip says tough match. Should I do Trent to Doherty now and James to Trippier in game week? I wouldn't bring Trippier in this game week, right? If I were to make a change and I have both Trent and James, right, then I would do priority transfer would be Trent, right? So I do Trent down to Perisic, because if I had both, right, I would do one of them down to Perisic. I would bench Trippier since there's most. Okay, fair enough. But the problem with Trippier is that he could get the odd free kick goal, or the he puts a cross in from the corner. Like he's on set pieces, right? He takes corners as well. So put a cross in, get an assist, right? These are all possible things for Trippier. His points comes from so many different places, and in the event they do keep a clean sheet, I think there's a haul there. So that's why I think Trippier is probably a start for me, but I definitely understand benching him as well. Made a wild move, Mitchell to Firmino. This game week, I would say it is a little bit much. All right. Let's check Twitter. I have a bit of news prepared. So, all right. So, talking a little about Reece James first. So this is exactly what Graham Potter has said, right? This is word for word, right? He's set to see a specialist over the weekend, right, to confirm the severity of the injury, and then the team would then find a way forward for Reece James. So it's really most likely that Reece James is not going to be fit for game week 11, right? Most definitely. I'd say 99%. Right, and then this is the quote on Mitrovic, right? So he's getting better, right? He did the warm-up, and the session today was more strategy. So today was the first day he was involved with the team after 2 weeks without. We're checking and assessing him, right? And it says still soon, and we'll check later. So what I gather from this, or how I interpret it, is if I'm the coach and my striker hasn't trained for 2 weeks, he's just come back for the first training today, right? I really don't see myself starting him. Right? I really don't see myself starting him, especially since I have Vinicius on the bench. Right? There's no harm in me starting another striker that we have. That's pretty decent as well. Right? When he was at Spurs, he did pretty well. So yeah, I think I really don't see Mitrovic starting as well. So that's why I would bench Mitrovic so that he doesn't come on for those one pointers. Right. Jeff, I think you sent me your team on Twitter. Alright, let's take a look. So, Ward, Cancelo, Gahey, Trippier, De Bruyne, Bowen, Madison, Martinelli, Mitrovic, Haaland, Tony. Alright. If you have one free you could actually roll, right? Because I would probably start Andreas ahead of Mitrovic, and then you could actually roll. Right? But if you want to go aggressive, or if you want to have Gahey on the bench, then obviously James out, right? For either one of those options, that you're in a pretty similar situation as me, right? So later on when I make my moves, you can kind of draw some inspiration, right? But yeah, I think it's pretty much James out for a cheap option. That's what I would do. Alright, so the next part, let's very, very quickly talk a little bit about the clean sheet and also the clean sheet and also the game prediction odds, right? Before we go into my transfer moves, I think I'm gonna make the transfer on the stream. It's probably going to be Lewis Dunk, right? But okay, Tottenham obviously right up there, 45% against Everton. So that's why Perisic, players like Dyer as well, probably going to do really well. Wolves as well, really, really up there against Forest. Excuse me. So, I'd say Max Kilman, good for this week, right, but not for next week. For the rest of the teams, I'm actually not 100% convinced of the clean sheets as well, right? Because Arsenal have Leeds away. Possible clean sheet there, but I wouldn't put my all my eggs on them, and I don't think we have Arsenal assets at this point in time. Chelsea as well, Reece James, right, is playing Villa away. Probably why some people want to go for Cucurella or maybe Azpilicueta. I'm not sure other options that people are considering, but I wouldn't go there personally. I wouldn't go there, right? And then there's Fulham, who's playing Bournemouth, so 36% is pretty interesting. That they're quite high as well, right? You could actually consider some defenders from Fulham. The reason why they've been conceding so much is they've been playing good opposition, but when they play easier oppositions, maybe some clean sheets there, right? Alright, so Leeds and Liverpool, obviously. Interestingly, Liverpool is really, really low down, right? Obviously, we know that City are most probably going to score, right? But I didn't expect Liverpool to be as low down as Leeds, right? So very, very interesting there. And lastly, this is the game percentage odds, right? So Brighton 40% to win Brentford, right? Leicester 42% to win Crystal Palace. They're the favorites there, right? Fulham 51%. Wolves as well predicted to do really well, right? 57.5%. Tottenham as well, one of the massive favorites against Everton. So I do see some mega holes there, right? Kane, Son, Perisic, all players that could really pop off there. Chelsea, obviously the favorites. Arsenal as well, right? And then there's United, West Ham and City. So I think really United, I really do see them scoring, right? Even without looking at the percentages, I still see them scoring. So I'm probably going to bench Pope. Right. All right. So back to the team. For now, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Let me get to the chat. A lot of people going for Brighton defenders, but they will concede against Brentford and has City in 13. So here are my thoughts about that. Is that I'm probably bringing them in mainly for the Forest in game week 12, the Forest fixture in game week 12, right? If they get anything in this game week against Brentford, which is not totally impossible, right? That's a bonus as well. And then I bench them against City. I bench them against, I think, Newcastle, if I'm not wrong. I benched them against City, and I benched them against Chelsea. I benched them against Chelsea. I could really just start them against Wolves and Aston Villa. So that's just my thoughts on that. Does Mitchell start for Palace this week? Well, I'm not really sure actually. I wouldn't go Mitchell. I would actually go Gehi. Right, I'm not 100% on Mitchell. Right, Jeff has asked a really good question. Best James replacement until game week 16. Right, I'll do a little bit of fantasy football hub in a bit. Alright, Bosco's in the chat. It's a member. Nice to see you, Bosco. Just joined the stream. Want to ask, do you talk about James' condition? Yeah, I did. Further back a little bit, you can rewind the stream. But I did say that I think really I don't see James starting. I don't see James starting, so I would say he's a hard sell this week, especially if you have free transfers. I don't think it's as urgent as Trent, right? I would probably do Trent out first because that frees up more money. The point is to get more money to spread for other areas. So I would do Trent first and then James out. So I'm probably going to do Lewis Dunk. Well, let's talk a little bit about the options that we have, right? So which really isn't a lot, right? Really isn't a lot. So all right, I think we'll take. Well, let's go over to Fantasy Football Hub. All right, really like Fantasy Football Hub. And we can also see some points predictions, right? So let's take a look. Hold on, let me get it up. Apologies. All right, so Fantasy Football Hub, one of the tools that I use so often. All right, so if you guys are interested, there's a link in the description as well for 30% off. So defenders, right? So we're gonna look at defenders, and let's take a look at for my main consideration, what I did was game week 11 to 12. So from game week 11 to 12, let it load for a little bit. Yeah, from game week 11 to 12, Dunk is actually up there in terms of predicted points, right? The Brighton guys are up there, right? And the Wolves options are actually further down, right? Trippier is actually predicted to do quite well, right? Even though he has United. I think Trippier is just an asset that we really have to have at this point in time, but it's so tough to justify bringing him in this game week because he has United. Right, let's take a look at the other options. So, Cucurella, right? These are all in order, right? So as we go further down, these are players that are predicted to do not as well, right? And you see, I still can't find Max Kilman. Max Kilman is still very far down. All right, Max Kilman is here. Predicted 4 points, 4 predicted points against Nottingham Forest, and against Palace 2.8. So that's 6.8 predicted points, 3.4 per game, right? And then we go all the way up top. It's actually Dunk. So I think the interesting thing is that at this point in time, I don't want to look too short-sighted as well, right? I want to see further down as well, maybe up till game week 16. Right, so there we go. Right, I mean, okay, obviously Cancelo is up there. Right, there's Van Dijk as well. it's pretty interesting to see that the West Ham defenders are actually quite high up, right? So I'm quite happy to have Zuma in my team as well. I think another option in the West Ham defense, actually not really a lot of options at this point in time because Dawson has a dead leg. If I'm not wrong, his name is pronounced Krehe as well. He also is a little bit nursing a little bit of an injury. So I would say I do feel like Zuma will be back for Southampton. I do feel like that. He was down with a little bit of cold. Right, so yeah, I actually do think that going even long term, right? I would much prefer a Brighton defender over right, over Wolves defender. Right, so we can take a look at the Opta stats as well because I think it's the stats for Max Kilman, right, is pretty decent. I think when you compare to maybe Dunk and Webster as well, I think Webster has pretty decent stats. Alright, let's take a look at all these three compared. Okay, let's throw in some of the other options that there are. Right, what other players do you guys want to add onto this list? Let me know. Let me know who else you guys want to add to this list. Right, Doctor says he's captaining Skamak. Very interesting. Thoughts on KDB to Trossard? I wouldn't do that this game week. Not a common. Bosco says not a common idea, but I think Spurs centre backs are worth considering. All right, right. Much improved corner tactics. Right. Okay, Dyer. Right, Zuma won't start because of illness. I actually do think he will start. He already missed the Europa League game. Why Perisic not talked about enough? I think he will come back into the starting 11. I think he was just rested. So alright, right. So let's put in the Tottenham players. You guys seem to like Tottenham players. So we'll put in the Tottenham players. I'll put Perisic in. We'll take a look at the stats. Anyone else? Anyone else that you guys want to go for? Can't seem to find Perisic. Alright. Estupinian as well. Alright, let's put him in. Dyer. Anyone else? Anyone else that you guys want? Alright. So, I think that's pretty much it. Covers most of the defenders that I think are on people's radars at this point in time. So, not sure if you guys can see. I'll zoom in a little bit. Alright, so let's sort them in terms of expected points first, right? I think that's somewhere to start. Right, Dyer actually pretty high up. Let's put the game week range from the start of the season as well. Right, yeah, Dyer, very, very high up the expected points as well. Right, I think Spurs defensively, they have leaked a couple of goals, right? But in the ones that they've actually kept clean sheets, I think they look pretty solid. Webster, very high up there as well. I think, as I said, right, his stats are really good. Expected goals per 90. Right, let's take a look. Let's put per 90. I think totals is at 0.5, but his per 90 is still pretty high. Right, his expected goals per 90 0.06, right? For a defender, I think that's okay. Right. Let's take a look at right. So expected points per 90 is what we're considering now, right? I didn't click the filter just now. So Perisic obviously is up there. His haul potential, right? Estupinian, interestingly as well, right? And then Dyer, Webster, Dunk, and Kilman. Problem is, I think a lot of the stats are inflated for Perisic and Estupinian by their assists, right? Because they get a lot of those crosses in. So if I'm looking for a nailed option, because Perisic has been rotated quite a bit, if I'm looking for a nailed option, I think I wouldn't go anywhere near the two of them at this point in time, right? So that really actually just leaves Dyer, and Webster. Dyer, Webster, Dunk, and Kilman. Right. So among these four, I still do think like I'm gonna favor Dunk. So in the chat, you guys are saying Snoopy TV says Anderson, Dunk, or Gehi. Only one. Dunk. If you're talking about long term though, then Gehi. If you're taking about long term, Gehi, because he also gives you some funds to spread elsewhere, right? But obviously comparing Anderson to Gehi, I think Anderson has more goal threat. But if you need more money elsewhere, right, then Gehi. Bosco says, always considering Perisic, but there's a rotation risk, so you prefer... Yeah, I think Dyer is nailed. 90%, 95% nailed. Right, Dyer is 95% nailed. Who has the best schedule for the next 5 games? Okay, that's pretty interesting. Let's take a look at the fixture ticker. Right, the next 5 games, I'm going to assume 11 to 16, which is actually 6 games. So, there we go. Right, Wolves is actually up there. Wolves is up there. Right, so that's kind of why I actually have Diego Costa as well. But Bournemouth is there, so Solanke, also a decent option. I am actually gambling a little bit on Diego Costa. Definitely gambling a little bit, but I did say that I think that's a position we can gamble a little bit more. So, yeah, I mean, if it works out, if he does score a brace against Forest, man, we could be in dreamland. Alright, so yeah, there we go. Right, Wolves, Spurs, Fulham, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Palace, all up there. Liverpool, I think, obviously, after the City game, right, it's just dreamland for them. Right, attackingly, right, these are the teams. Right, so Wolves, Spurs, Bournemouth, Fulham, Liverpool. I mean, the names these are the teams we obviously we would think that they'd be up there. Right, but interestingly, right, because this considers the blank as well. Right, this considers the blank here, and that's why City and Arsenal are so low. But from 13 to 16, this is where it really swings. Right, City right up there. Right, I'm surprised Arsenal isn't as high up as well. Right, but I really would want to target the Arsenal fixtures. So, yeah, attackingly, I mean, definitely we're gonna look at triple City. So, all right. So this is actually a good prelude to my transfer moves. I'll talk about them right now. So, what it seems like I'm gonna do is for this game week, I'm probably going to do Dunk. Right. So, this is how the team would look like, and I probably bench. Okay, for now it's Pope, right? For now it's Pope. I bench Zuma and Gehi. Right, I'll start Cancelo, Trippier, and Dunk. Zuma first bench, Gehi second bench, and Mitrovic obviously last on the bench. Right, and I'll start everyone else. So pretty much my whole midfield is gonna play. Right, and then there's Costa who has Forest, and then there's Haaland as well. So it's gonna look like this for game week 11. Right, I'll make the transfer in a little bit. Right, but come game week 13, come game week 12, I probably would roll the transfer. I mean, ideally, I would want to roll the transfer. Of course, Maddison permitting, because he's 1 yellow card away from a suspension. But if I can roll the transfer, I'll fast forward to game week 13. What I can do is Maddison to Saka. So this is my game week 13 planned move. So I would have 2 free transfers by then. So I'll probably do Saka, right, in for Maddison. And what I'm looking at doing as well, because Foden, I do want Foden as well, but he has Brighton at home in game week 13. I think that's an okay fixture. Right, but I would actually want to go for Firmino instead, just to really bank on that Forest fixture in game week 13. Right, so I think some of you guys will be asking why I'm going for Firmino instead of Darwin Núñez, but I've just worked it out for my team. Right, even going for Lewis Dunk, I can't afford Saka, Foden, and Darwin Núñez. Something has to give, right? I'm not willing to give on Saka. I'm not willing to give on Foden as well. So that's pretty much why I'm going to go for Firmino. I think he's probably he's 8 mil, right? Darwin Núñez is 8.8, Jota is 8.9. So I don't have enough funds for that. So I'm going to bank on the more consistent assets like Saka and Foden. So I'm probably going to do Saka and Firmino in game week 13. And then come game week 14, which is when City play Leicester. Right, I probably would do Zaha out for Foden. Now, I think a lot of us, even for myself, when I was tinkering a little bit before the stream, I got caught in the idea that I can't sell Zaha anymore because I brought him in as a set and forget, right? But if you're talking about from game week 13 or 14 onwards, Foden is obviously going to outscore. I mean, if he plays, right, which he has started every single game so far in the Premier League. Foden is definitely going to outscore Zaha. I mean, the number of chances that City create. So, as of now, this is the plan, right? And I have 0.2 in the bank to, account for those price rises. So, this is where I'm at with my team. And that's also why I have to go for Dunk. I can't go for Perisic because if I do that, I can't afford Foden and Saka in game week 12 and 13. So, I think those who are attacking this game week with your wildcard, I would definitely go for some Spurs assets. Right. How can I show you my team? I think you can just type it in the chat. You can type it in the chat and I can give some suggestions. Or else you can just follow me on Twitter and send me a message and yeah, we can work something out. Right, but for now, yeah, this is what it is. This is what I'm thinking about. If you guys are still here, please like the stream and also subscribe to the channel as well. Really, really helps. And yeah, I think this is pretty much how it's gonna look like. Let's reverse the transfers and not confuse people who rewatch the stream later. Right, so this is probably gonna be my team. Assume that James is Dunk. Right, James is Dunk because I'm pretty much going to bring Dunk in. Right, and then I don't want that Mitrovic 1-pointer, so Mitrovic last on the bench. Yehi, second on the bench. I do think that Leicester have a good chance of scoring. Right, I do think both of them have a good chance of scoring. Right, and Zuma first bench as well. I think this is a good first bench. And then we have Pope, right, on the bench because, as I said, I don't think I want to go double Newcastle defense. So this is what it's looking like for game week 11. Ward, Cancelo, Dunk and Trippier. Right, Dunk plays Brentford away. Right, and then all 5 of my midfielders, Captain Haaland, Vice Captain Martinelli, and there's Costa up front as well. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think I should go for someone else in the 4.5 bracket? I think the problem with the 4.5 bracket is there's really not a lot of good options, right? Dunk is already one of the pushing it a little bit with Dunk already. Right, the poll has 44 votes now, and quite a number of you guys have 2 or 3 hits, right? Not a lot have more than 3, so even one flag is pretty low as well. So it seems like you either have 2 or 3 hits, right? Which is, I think, a situation that a lot of us are going to be in. There's James. I think a lot of us had James are going to be in this same situation. There's Mitrovic as well, who's quite highly owned. He's going to be a differential soon, right? Mitrovic. So that's something interesting as well. So probably going to hold Mitrovic. I think he's a hold. Right, Jeff says start Trippier and Pope or Ward and Trippier. Yeah, I mean that's the question, right? Do we want to put all our eggs in the basket? I think I'm pretty much set on start. I'm not expecting too much from Ward. I really don't think there's gonna be clean sheets there, which is maybe why I should start Pope as well for the save points. So it's something I will consider for a while more, right? Just before the deadline. I will have to end the stream in a bit. right? But it's tough, Jeff. I haven't even decided it for myself. But if we're going to go by percentages, right, then Ward seems to be the one to start, right? Because Newcastle aren't as high. Right, some of you guys sent your teams to me on Twitter. I'll quickly take a look at them. Those of you guys still in the chat or still watching the stream, right, if you want to send your teams in, just head over to Twitter and I'll take a look at them really quickly. And then we can see what we can do. Right. Okay, so seems like there's Trent and Bailey. There's Trent and Bailey on the bench. There's James as well. Right. Okay. 2 free transfers, that's pretty good. Bailey out for sure. And Trent out for sure. I would actually go for Trossard if I was in your position. I'd do Bailey to Trossard and Trent down to maybe Perisic. Those are really attacking moves actually. Hopefully you can afford them. That's why I went for Trent instead. That's why I say Trent is more of a hard sell in terms of how much value he can free up for your team. So yeah, I'll go for Trent out, and Bailey out, and then we bring in Trossard and Perisic. That's probably what I'd recommend. All right, I think that's pretty much as long as I can stream. Yeah, I know Bailey is all right, but I think his fixtures aren't good. I much prefer the options in the midfield bracket than the options in the defense, right? So if you delay the transfer in defense for a while more, you can actually go for good options in the future, right? Some of them are looking pretty good in the future, right? So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I would do. Let's take a look at the team. I think I'm going to have to end the stream really soon. Brennan says, will I be posting my team? Yeah, so before every deadline, I post my team on Instagram, post my team on Twitter, post my team on the YouTube community tab as well. So you guys want to check it out, just head over there before the deadline. I'll probably post it in about a half an hour. Yeah, maybe half an hour to just think a little bit about my moves, and then we'll see how we go from there. Gonna look something like this on the screen now either ways. So I think if there's a decision point, it's more about whether I want to start Pope or Ward. Right, Gehi, I really don't think I'm going to start him. I don't think I start Zuma ahead of any one of these players here as well. So, yeah, I think it's pretty much James out for Dunk. And I really am going to play Trippier because of his attacking potential. So it's really just Pope or Ward. I think that's just the... I can't sell Bailey. I can sell only one player this game week to prepare myself for game week 12. Alright, we'll continue the conversation on Twitter. Right, but for those of you still watching, thank you guys for watching. And we'll have to end the stream right now actually. Right, I'll take the last question. Have 2 free transfers. Pope, Ward, Cancelo, James, Trippier, Fofana, Neco, Williams. What should I do? Fofana, definitely you gotta take him out. Neco Williams is fine to hold considering your team. I think the only players that you really have to take out are Fofana and James. You seem in a pretty okay position, right? Fofana and James out. That's what I would do. So there we go, guys. All right, I will end the stream now. I'll post my team in a bit, so keep a lookout for that. If you guys are here, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. All right, bye bye.